Hello. I have a bit of a migraine and it's late, so I don't want to speak too loudly because other people sleeping here. I want to talk about social media. Now, this is a very relevant video, obviously, and it's one that I wanted to make for a while now. I've probably made a similar video to this before, but I think it's very important. To cut to the chase, I am in some ways very fed up with social media, but I'm not ready to completely quit, and I think that would be very difficult because I have just too many contacts. I don't mean I've too many at the moment. I mean I've too many that matter to just cut it all off. Um, so at the moment I'm on Facebook, obviously YouTube, um, and I'm on two Chinese sites called QQ and Weibo. Actually, these days WeChat is far more commonly used in China, but I never got around to downloading that because my phone wasn't up to date enough. And that's maybe for the best because it would just be yet another piece of social media. I believe I was briefly on Twitter, but I lost my password or something, which quite honestly I don't care about. I think of all the social media networks, in some ways Twitter is the most toxic, and this is why. The number of prominent people that you see, and it's very often people who are standing for election, but also others, some comment they made years ago is dragged up. It's almost always Twitter that happens on. So to me, this just demonstrates a fundamental issue with social media, and I guess this depends on how much you utilize it. I use it quite a lot. I'm on Facebook almost every day, unless I'm traveling. Um, I'm connected with a lot of people. I did seriously skim down a while back because I was just adding people that I was in mutual groups with and people I never spoke to, people I barely knew. So at one point, I really skimmed it down significantly, took off hundreds of names, but it's still probably too many. There's people there that I have some vague connection with because I went to school with them like 25 years ago, things like that. Okay, not 25 years ago, let's say 20 years ago, but really, I could probably knock another 100 names off that, if I'm being completely honest. Um, I think there are very legitimate issues around what social media companies like Facebook are using with people's information. Now, I don't personally lose sleep sort of thinking, oh, the government's spying on me. I'm not at that level. I'm not overly concerned about that because I haven't had any sinister knocks on the door, why did you post this or that? But in Western countries in particular, we often take freedom of expression for granted and we assume that just because it's worse in other countries, that we have it secured. That's not necessarily the case, particularly with the way political correctness and identity politics is going. I think there are serious repercussions for freedom of expression, and I'm very concerned about that. I'm frustrated by it. But a lot of this is manifested by how social media works. I mean, it definitely has its uses, so I would never totally dismiss it. I mean, it's helped people connect with family and friends and helps them keep in touch long distance in a way that just isn't the same with an email or a phone call. Bearing in mind you have to pay for a phone call, and that's not always possible. Also, it spreads awareness of important campaigns. If you believe in a particular cause, it could be a very powerful tool in that sense. Um, Even in countries going through revolutions or rapidly changing new situations, it can be could be a very powerful medium. Of course, that's also the problem because then you get the spread of fake news. You get people putting just plain propaganda online. You get cyberbullying. You get all these nasty, toxic elements of it. I have a few concerns about social media. Number one, I think generally there is a risk that people, society, and this is true all over the world, are relying too much on technology. I'm no Luddite, I'm no technophobe in the sense that I fully appreciate the value that can come with technology, but I do fear sometimes that we will get to a point where human beings become, I'm not going to say replaced by machines, but just blood and flesh and nature and the real world will be overtaken by this, and that's something that I do never want to see. Um, but I've been active on social media now for, well, I remember YouTube and Facebook were being developed by the time I was in university in the mid 2000s, and I've pretty much been active on it since then. I've had a few unpleasant experiences. I had my Facebook account hacked. Um, on that occasion, I suspect it was Chinese nationalists. I can't prove it, but I'd been in a heated argument with some people. It's a long story. It's not really relevant, but it just goes to show that it's a platform, Facebook in particular, for people sharing their views, their ideas, and that would seem liberating on one hand, because most people want to do it. Most people want their opinions to be heard, but that's partly the problem. Everyone's doing it, and it becomes like a popularity contest. You get likes, you get dislikes. I've often made posts, and I'm never dishonest, never, but I've often made posts and when I was angry about something, and I thought, well, that's a negative thing. It's put me in a negative frame of mind. And I know why I posted it, because I wanted to vent. But what do I want from this? Do I want people to like it? Do I want people to agree with me? Um, I never post things because I want an argument, because I want a debate. Speaking honestly, speaking candidly, I post things online because I just want to vent. And then sometimes I'll post something and someone takes issue with it. And I've been in many real world debates face to face. And whilst it's not really ideal, it's definitely preferable because, well, for one thing, people are more civil generally, for the most part, face to face. Online, things can very rapidly descend into pettiness, and I'm not going to pretend that I've been totally innocent. There's times that I've said things that I thought, okay, I could probably have worded that better. I let my temper get the better of me. I've never ever threatened anyone. I can truthfully say that. But I've used colourful language. I've fought fire with fire. But all I find it just becomes a bit draining because you make a post, you come back a few hours later, maybe a few people have replied to it, and in my case, mostly it's positive. But then someone disagrees, then you have to reply to that, and it's just the whole thing just becomes. In my case, it's not insincere because I'm honest about everything I say. And I try to balance it out with neutral things, music videos and things that aren't heavy or political. But, we're almost in the 2020s now. I'm going to see it as a sort of fresh start. I'm definitely not going to quit social media. I've just too many connections. And it's the only way I can keep in touch with many people. But I'm going to definitely skim down a bit of the time. I'm going to definitely reduce the amount of time I spend on social media. I'm going to maybe cull some of the names that I just never talk to. And there's no point. Just seems pretentious. Um, I don't know. I hope it works out. I hope I could do that. I mean, I'm not like I hear people say, "Oh, I'm done with it and I'll just completely quit Facebook." I would if I was like only connected to a few people I never spoke to. But like I say, I'm connected with too many people, and it has games and so on, which is can be fun. And I do think it could be a powerful tool. If I believe strongly in something, I like to endorse that movement or campaign or idea. I've got a few groups of my own, just in case you're wondering. One is about um, basically just a forum for unemployed people to express their views, and particularly on Britain's welfare system and a lot of the issues around that. Um, I forget the others I have now. It's been a while since I've updated them, but um, yeah, I'm just going to minimize it a little bit, just scale it back a little bit, because it's at the moment it just feels a bit like it's almost got me in a hook, and I don't like that. I mean, it's not like, if I'm traveling, it's not like, oh, I need to be on Facebook. It's definitely not that. But just generally, the feeling of it is not a very good one. I mean, I like seeing friends' photo updates. I like playing games. I like the fact that there is a way to connect with like minded people. There's a lot of good things. Don't want to be too negative, but there's also a lot of security issues. There's pettiness. There is just a lot of negative energy there as well. And it isn't just Facebook, you get it on YouTube, you get it on other mediums, probably Instagram. I don't use it, but so that's how I feel about it. Hope my voice is loud enough. I'm trying not to be too loud, like I say. Got a bit of a migraine as well. Okay, let me know your thoughts on social media. YouTube, because I'm speaking here, just a few words about that. I've now made over 2,000 videos in I guess, about 7 years. And again, I'm very grateful for this medium, but I can't help feeling it's just too many videos. And some I feel better about than others. Maybe because the sound quality is better, maybe because I feel I express myself in a much better way. There's a lot of those videos I think like there's barely any views, the sound quality is bad, so and I could have expressed something better, so I might delete them. But I feel a bit cynical when someone's dragged up by the press for something they said 5, 6, 7 years ago. The way I see that in terms of political candidates is what really matters is what they feel now. So let's say some unsavory comment is dug up that they made 5, 10 years ago. It's legitimate to question them about it if they're running for high office, but I don't think they should be crucified for it. Because really, social media is just an extension of what we all think. And in the past, where there was other problems, one thing you didn't have is this constant microscope on your life. Okay, maybe in different ways, but not by this medium. So the dynamics change. There's good and bad things about every generation. Good and bad challenges. We have challenges today, for example, associated with social media that never existed before. They never existed before, let's say, 1996 with the World Wide Web, and especially not before, let's say, 2004 when Facebook and YouTube were founded. So YouTube was 2005, in fact, but I think that there's that aspect as well. I just don't think that people should be, if they say, I shouldn't have said that at that time, I should have worded it a different way. People should judge them on their current views. Because if we want perfect, I mean, this may be for a different video, but if people are looking for a perfect person, for a candidate. I think it's very dishonest, really. And I think it's a bit hypocritical because we always say politicians aren't, they're liars, they're not true to themselves. Well, if someone makes a mistake and they say they shouldn't have done it, are you going to say, oh no, that person should never be allowed to stand for office? Or are you going to say, well, okay, I don't like what he or she said, but let's judge them on their views right now? And obviously, it depends on how deeply offensive or deeply significant their statement or their comment was, but I just think it's a bit hypocritical to pillory people for what we often say and do ourselves, just because, they're seeking office. And I think it's a bit hypocritical. And of course, it goes without saying, responsibility. Social media forces you to be responsible because the consequences are elevated. In the past, if you maybe argue with someone, you might like fall out with a few of their friends, maybe there'd be a bit of gossip in the town. Today, you know, someone could be bullied, that could be videoed online, the bullies could then share it, and it becomes a very vicious thing. And that's a very, very ugly side to social media. Then on the other side, positive campaigns can be also go viral. So good and bad actually is magnified. Good and bad. And I guess that's just makes it all a little bit overwhelming. So I think it's healthy to scale back a little bit from social media, and that's what I intend to do in the 2020s. I'm definitely not going to abandon it, that would be almost impossible, but I'm going to scale back. Thanks for watching, let me know your thoughts.